I'm Bianca Moore, 28 years old. Last Mother's Day, my mother sent me a bill for $347,000. The subject line read, "The cost of raising a disappointment." She CC'd all 48 relatives in our family, every aunt, uncle, cousin, and in-law from California to Maine. She thought I would cry. She thought I would apologize. She thought I would shrink into myself like I always did. But this time, I replied with a single photo. By the next morning, 47 of them had blocked her. The 48th, my grandmother, didn't block her. She did something far worse. Before I tell you what that photo was and what my grandmother did, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now let me start from the beginning. I work as a financial analyst at a mid-sized accounting firm in Boston. Numbers make sense to me. They don't lie. They don't play favorites. They don't tell you one thing and mean another. People, on the other hand, especially my family, are a different story. My apartment is small, 600 square feet in Somerville. Nothing fancy. But it's mine. I've paid the rent myself since I was 22. No help from anyone. My sister Vicky, 3 years older, just bought a 4-bedroom colonial in Wellesley. Our parents gifted her the down payment, $80,000, wrapped in a bow of, "We're so proud of you." I found out about it through her Instagram post. When I graduated college, I got a text from Mom. "Congratulations." 3 weeks late. No exclamation point. When Vicky made junior partner at her law firm, they threw her a party. Catered. Champagne. The whole family flew in. I don't say this to complain. I stopped expecting anything different a long time ago. You learn to measure your worth in things you can control, your work, your savings account, the peace of your own space. Marcus, my boyfriend of 2 years, asks me sometimes why I still go to family gatherings, why I still pick up when my mother calls, why I let her comments slide off me like water. I never have a good answer. Maybe part of me kept hoping. Maybe part of me thought if I just tried harder, stayed quieter, caused less trouble, she'd finally look at me the way she looks at Vicky. Working in finance taught me one important lesson. Numbers don't lie. People do. I just didn't know how much my mother had been lying until last year. The pattern started long before I could name it. My college graduation, 2019. I walked across the stage at Boston University, magna cum laude, finance degree in hand. I searched the crowd for my family. Dad was there, smiling, waving. The seat next to him was empty. Mom had gotten sick that morning. A migraine, she said. Too severe to make the 2-hour drive. 1 week later, she flew to New York for Vicky's firm award ceremony, posted 12 photos on Facebook. So proud of my brilliant lawyer daughter. I liked the post. That's what you do. Growing up, Vicky was our future attorney. I was the difficult one. Vicky got praise for her grades. I got questions about why mine weren't higher. Vicky's achievements were celebrated. Mine were expected or overlooked. Dad tried, in his quiet way. He'd pat my shoulder after Mom's sharper comments. "Your mother means well," he'd say. "She just has a harder time expressing it with you." I used to believe him. When it came time for college, both Vicky and I were supposed to have education funds. Grandma and Grandpa had set them up when we were kids. Same amount for each of us. Vicky graduated debt-free. I graduated with $67,000 in student loans. Mom told me my fund ran out faster because of unexpected expenses during high school. Tutoring, she said. Summer programs, things I needed. I didn't question it then. Why would I? She was my mother. But numbers have a way of telling the truth, even when people don't. And 3 years ago, I started looking at the numbers. 2 weeks before Mother's Day, Mom announced her plan. A family reunion. Not just our immediate family, everyone. All the aunts and uncles, all the cousins, their spouses and kids. 48 people total, gathering at Grandma Eleanor's farmhouse in Connecticut. "It's been too long since we've all been together," Mom said in the family group chat. "Let's make this Mother's Day special." I stared at my phone for a long time. Marcus was making dinner when I told him. He paused, spatula in hand. "You don't have to go," he said. "She's my mother." "That doesn't mean—" "I know." I took the phone from his hand, set it aside. "I know." The next day, Vicky called, sweet as sugar. "Hey, so you're coming early to help set up, right? Like usual?" "Like usual." Meaning, I arrive at dawn to cook and clean while she shows up at noon with an expensive bottle of wine and a designer dress. "Sure," I said, "like usual." After we hung up, I sat at my laptop. There's a folder I keep buried 3 levels deep. I named it Insurance. Just a word, just a precaution. I hadn't opened it in months. That night, I opened it. 3 files inside, a screenshot, a PDF, a spreadsheet. I'd been collecting these for 3 years, ever since I stumbled across something I wasn't supposed to see. I told myself I was keeping them just in case, that I'd probably never use them. I closed the laptop and went to bed. But I couldn't sleep. Something about the way Mom announced this gathering, the size of it, the timing, the way she'd insisted everyone attend, felt like the setup to something. I just didn't know I was the punchline. Mother's Day morning. I arrived at Grandma Eleanor's farmhouse at 7. The sun was barely up. Dew clung to the grass. The old white colonial looked the same as it always had. Wraparound porch, blue shutters, the kind of house that holds generations of memories. Not all of them good. I spent the next 4 hours cooking, cleaning, arranging flowers, setting the long table in the dining room with the good china. 48 place settings, 48 cloth napkins, 48 chances for something to go wrong. Vicky arrived at 11:30. She swept in wearing a cream silk dress, carrying a bouquet of peonies that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. She kissed Mom on both cheeks. She complimented the decorations, the ones I'd put up. "Everything looks perfect," she said to Mom. "You outdid yourself." Mom smiled. I had a little help. She didn't look at me when she said it. By noon, the house was full. Aunts and uncles I saw once a year, cousins I barely knew, their kids running through the hallways, noise and laughter, and the smell of the roast I'd been preparing since dawn. Mom moved through the crowd like a queen, accepting hugs, accepting compliments, accepting the spotlight. I stayed near the kitchen. During the family photo, Mom positioned everyone on the porch steps. She placed Vicky right beside her. When I stepped forward, she glanced at me. "Bianca, honey, stand in the back. You're taller. You'll block everyone." I stood in the back. That's when Grandma Eleanor appeared beside me. She squeezed my elbow. Her grip was firm for a 78-year-old woman. "Whatever happens today," she said quietly, "hold your ground. You hear me?" I didn't understand. Not yet. The toast began after lunch. Uncle Robert went first, raising his glass to the heart of our family. Aunt Patricia followed with tears in her eyes about sisterhood. Cousin after cousin stood up, praising mothers, praising Mom specifically, praising the woman who sacrificed everything. I stayed quiet. I'd learned long ago that my voice wasn't wanted in these moments. Then Mom stood up. She smoothed her lavender dress. She picked up her wine glass. The room fell silent with practiced reverence. "Thank you all for being here," she began. Her voice carried that warm, practiced tone, the one she used for audiences. Being a mother is the most rewarding job in the world, but also the hardest. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. "I've been blessed with 2 daughters, 2 very different daughters." She paused, letting the weight of the words settle. "One who has made me proud every single day, and one who has tested me." Eyes shifted toward me. I felt them like heat. "I've thought long and hard about how to express what motherhood really means, the sacrifices we make, the costs we bear." She reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. "So, I've prepared something special. A gift, you might say, for all of you, and for one daughter in particular." Her thumb moved across the screen. Around the room, phones began to buzz. Ding after ding after ding. 48 notifications in rapid succession. I want everyone to see exactly what it cost, Mom said, her eyes finding mine, to raise a disappointment. The room went still, and in that silence, I understood what Grandma Eleanor had tried to warn me about. This wasn't a family reunion. This was an execution. 48 phones lit up simultaneously. I watched hands reach for devices, watched faces bend toward screens, watched expressions shift from curiosity to discomfort to shock. The email subject line, the cost of raising a disappointment. The body, an itemized spreadsheet. 28 years of my existence reduced to line items. Hospital birth costs, $12,400. Diapers, first 2 years, $2,800. Childhood clothing, $15,600. Braces, $8,000. Summer camps, $4,500. First car, $12,000. College room and board, $48,000. Cell phone bills, $8,400. On and on it went. $347,000. Mom read selections aloud, her voice carrying across the silent room. Orthodontia, $8,000. Does she ever say thank you? Birthday parties, $1,200 over 18 years. Did she ever appreciate a single one? Someone laughed nervously. Someone else shifted in their chair. I stood frozen by the kitchen doorway, 48 pairs of eyes on me. Some pitying, some entertained, some looking away in discomfort. This is what a thankless child costs, Mom continued. This is what disappointment looks like in dollars and cents. She'd framed a printed copy, literally framed it, in a gilded frame that matched Grandma's decor. She walked to the mantel and hung it above the fireplace, right next to the family portrait. A reminder, she said, turning back to face me. For all of us. The room waited. For me to cry, to apologize, to shrink. I'd done it before. Every family gathering, every holiday, every phone call, I'd swallowed the humiliation and smiled through it. My hands should have been shaking. They weren't. Because buried in my phone was a folder named Insurance, and Mom had just given me permission to open it. For 10 seconds, I didn't move. I let the silence stretch. Let Mom bask in what she thought was victory. Let the room hold its collective breath, waiting for the familiar script. Bianca apologizes. Bianca cries. Bianca makes everyone uncomfortable, and Mom gets to play the long-suffering mother. I'd played that role for 28 years. Not today. My mind flashed through memories. Every Christmas where my gifts were afterthoughts. Every report card that earned criticism instead of praise. Every time I'd said, "I'm sorry," for existing in a way that inconvenienced her. I thought about the nights I'd spent in my apartment, staring at credit reports I couldn't understand. The calls with IRS agents about tax returns I'd never filed. The apartment applications rejected because of a credit score I'd never earned. I thought about the folder on my phone, 3 files, 3 years of quiet documentation, 3 chances to prove that the disappointment narrative wasn't just unfair, it was a cover story. I looked around the room. Vicky was whispering something to her husband, a smirk on her face. Dad was staring at his plate. Grandma Eleanor sat perfectly still, her eyes on me. She gave me the smallest nod. My hand went to my phone. I opened it, navigated past the home screen, past the apps, past the folders. There it was. Insurance. 3 files inside. A screenshot, a PDF, a spreadsheet. My heart was calm. My breath was steady. "Mom," I said. My voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Since we're sharing numbers today, I have some of my own." The smirk on her face flickered. "What are you doing?" she asked. I smiled. The first genuine smile I'd worn all day. Balancing the books. I walked toward the center of the room. Every step echoed against the hardwood floor. Conversations had died completely. Even the children in the hallway had gone quiet, sensing something in the air. "Keep your phones handy," I said. My voice was steady, professional, the same tone I used in client presentations. "Because I'm about to send you something too." "Bianca." Mom's tone had shifted, a warning edge. "This isn't the time." "Actually, it's the perfect time." I stopped beside her, close enough to see the mascara she'd carefully applied, close enough to see the first flicker of fear beneath her confidence. "You calculated what I cost you, Mom. Seems only fair I calculate what you cost me." I opened my email app, selected all 48 family contacts. "Bianca, whatever you think you're doing, I'm doing exactly what you taught me." I looked up at her, held her gaze. "Showing receipts?" I pressed send. The familiar chorus of notification sounds filled the room. Ding, ding, ding. One after another, spreading through the crowd like dominoes falling. Mom's face paled slightly. "What did you just send?" "The truth." I slipped my phone back into my pocket. "You have numbers, Mom. I have documents." Movement caught my eye. Grandma Eleanor had risen from her chair, but she wasn't moving to stop this. She was pulling her seat closer. Front row. A few relatives were already opening the email. I saw their expressions change. Confusion first, then something else. Uncle Robert was the first to look up at Mom with a different kind of expression. "Linda," he said slowly, "what is this?" Mom's composure cracked, just for a moment. The performance was about to get interesting. "Now, before I show you exactly what was in that email, I have to ask, how many of you have a folder like mine? Evidence you've been collecting, hoping you'd never have to use? Drop a 1 in the comments if you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're watching this late at night, unable to sleep because family drama is keeping you up, you're not alone. Hit subscribe and let's get through this together." Okay, back to that dining room. The email contained 3 attachments. I started with the first one. "Mom, you charged me for my college education in your little bill. Room and board, textbooks, living expenses." I paused. "But here's the thing. I paid for college myself. $67,000 in student loans. Still paying them off." Murmurs rippled through the room. "That's because my college fund ran out, right? That's what you told me." I pulled up the PDF on my phone, projecting calm I didn't entirely feel. "Except I work in finance now, and I know how to trace money." I turned to face the room. "Grandma and Grandpa Harrison set up education trusts for both Vicky and me when we were children. Same amount, $89,000 each." I let that number sink in. Vicky used hers, graduated debt-free. I pointed to the screen showing on my phone. "My trust was withdrawn in full on August 3, 2016, 1 month before I started college. The money was transferred to an account belonging to Linda Moore." Aunt Patricia's hand went to her mouth. $89,000, I repeated. "Gone, into Mom's personal account. 1 week later." I swiped to the next document. "She purchased a new Lexus. Cash." "That money was for family expenses." Mom's voice rose, defensive. "You don't understand." "I understand bank records." I kept my voice level. "I understand wire transfers. I understand that you stole my college fund and let me drown in debt while you drove a luxury car." Dad stood up slowly from his chair. His face had gone pale. "Linda," he said quietly, "is this true?" Mom opened her mouth to respond, but I wasn't finished yet. "That's just the beginning," I said. The room had grown colder somehow. Or maybe it was just the way people were looking at Mom now. With less sympathy, more scrutiny. I opened the second attachment, a spreadsheet. For the past 2 years, I've been getting strange letters from the IRS, audits, notices about discrepancies. At first, I thought it was a mistake. I scrolled through the document. Then I hired a CPA to dig deeper. I turned the phone so people nearby could see the screen. Columns of numbers, dates, filings. From 2018 to 2024, Mom claimed me as a dependent on her federal taxes, 6 consecutive years. Cousin Michael frowned. So? Parents claim their kids all the time. I was 22 in 2018, I said, living in my own apartment, paying my own rent, my own insurance, my own everything. I haven't been anyone's dependent since I was 21. The implication landed. I watched it spread across faces. Each year she received between $4,000 and $6,000 in tax benefits from claiming me. I did the math out loud. Total, approximately $32,000. Tax fraud using my social security number. That's a federal crime. Uncle George, a retired accountant himself, spoke up, his voice grim. I know. I looked at Mom. I had to hire a CPA to clean up the mess. $3,400 out of my own pocket to fix what you did. Dad's hands were gripping the edge of the table. Linda, you told me Bianca agreed to this arrangement. Richard, stay out of this. But it was too late for that. The room was shifting, the narrative was changing, and I still had one more file to show them. I let the silence build. Mom was looking at me differently now. The confidence was gone. In its place was something I'd rarely seen on her face: uncertainty. There's one more thing, I said quietly. I didn't open the third file yet. Instead, I asked her a question. Mom, do you remember when I applied for my first apartment after college? The one in Cambridge? She didn't answer. I got rejected. The landlord told me my credit score was 520. I was 22 years old with a score that said I was a financial disaster. I paused. I'd never missed a payment in my life. I'd never had a credit card. Understanding dawned in a few faces around the room. So I pulled my credit report. And do you know what I found? I opened the third attachment. Bank statements, credit card applications, all bearing my name. 3 credit cards, opened in 2016, 2017, and 2018, all using my name and social security number, all maxed out. I let the number land like a hammer. $47,000 in debt, on my record, for purchases I never made. Aunt Martha gasped. This is identity theft, Uncle George said flatly. Linda, this is a federal crime. It took me 4 years to clear my name, I continued. 2 lawyers, hundreds of hours on the phone, but I kept everything, every document, every statement, every piece of evidence. Movement at the edge of the room. Vicky was standing up, reaching for her purse. Sit down, Vicky. She froze. You're not going anywhere. I met her eyes. Because one of those credit cards? The statements were shipped to your address. The color drained from my sister's face. I didn't know, Vicky started. Don't. My voice was calm, cold. I have the shipping receipts, your address, your signature on delivery confirmations. The room turned to look at my sister, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. You received packages in my name for 3 years, designer bags, electronics, jewelry. I pulled up one particular receipt, including an engagement ring, $8,400, charged to a card with my name on it. Vicky's husband, Derek, stared at her hand, at the diamond glittering under the dining room lights. You wore my stolen identity to your wedding, I said. Did you know? Or did you just not want to know? Vicky's voice cracked. Mom said it was an emergency. She said you wouldn't find out. I didn't think. An emergency that lasted 4 years? Buying Gucci bags was an emergency? Aunt Patricia rose from her seat, her face ashen. Victoria, how could you? I didn't know it was illegal. Vicky's composure shattered. Tears streamed down her face. Real ones, maybe. Or maybe just the performance she'd learned from Mom. She told me Bianca would never check. She told you to help her steal from me. I finished the sentence. And you did. The murmurs had grown to open conversation now. Relatives talking to each other, voices rising, some in shock, some in anger, some already standing, reaching for coats and car keys. But there was one more thing, the screenshot. I hadn't opened it yet. The one I'd been holding for 3 years, the one that explained everything. I looked at my mother. She was pale now, trembling. "There's one more file," I said. "But this one is the big one." Mom saw the shift in the room. She felt it slipping away from her. So she did what she'd always done. She changed tactics. Her shoulders began to shake. Her eyes glistened with tears. She pressed a hand to her chest like she was struggling to breathe. "I can't believe this," she said, her voice cracking beautifully. "I gave everything to this child. Everything. And this is how she repays me?" A few relatives hesitated. Old habits die hard. We're trained from birth to comfort a crying mother. I made mistakes, yes. But I did it for the family. Everything I did was for the family. She reached for Dad's arm. "Richard, tell them. Tell them I only wanted what was best for everyone." Dad stood rigid. His jaw worked silently. He didn't move toward her. Mom turned to Grandma Eleanor. "Mama, please, say something. You know me. You know I'm not a monster." Grandma Eleanor remained seated. Her face was stone. "I'm listening, Linda," she said quietly. "I'm listening to everything." Mom's desperation showed now. The performance was cracking at the edges. "Fine." Her voice hardened. Something dangerous flickered in her eyes. "You want to play this game, Bianca? You want to air dirty laundry in front of everyone?" She stepped toward me, close, too close. "Then let's talk about why," she hissed. "Let's talk about why I've treated you differently your whole life. There are things you don't know, things I've protected you from. A warning, a threat. There are things about you, little girl, that would change everything." She thought she still had leverage. She thought her secret was bigger than mine. She was wrong. "You're right, Mom," I said. "There is something I don't know, or didn't know, until 3 years ago." Mom's eyes widened slightly, just a fraction. "What are you talking about?" 3 years ago, I was at Vicky's apartment. She left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went to take a call. A message came through. I kept my voice even. "From you." The color was draining from Mom's face now. "I wasn't going to read it, but your name was there and the preview showed something I couldn't ignore." "Bianca?" Her voice was a warning. "So I took a screenshot." "Don't." "And I've had it for 3 years." I pulled up my phone. 3 years of you humiliating me at every holiday, every birthday, every family gathering. 3 years of swallowing your insults and saying nothing. Mom's composure finally cracked. Real fear showed in her eyes. "I never used it," I continued. "I told myself I never would, that it wasn't my secret to tell, that maybe, you had a reason for being the way you are." "Please." The word came out broken. "Please, Bianca. Whatever you think you know." "I didn't come here today planning to do this." My voice was steady. "But you did, Mom. You planned this whole thing. You wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. You wanted to make me the villain of your story." I held up my phone. "So now I'm going to tell the truth." "If you ever loved me," Mom started. "Loved you?" I felt something crack in my chest. "I spent my entire life trying to earn your love. Turns out I never had a chance." I opened the email app, selected all 48 contacts, attached the screenshot. My thumb hovered over send. "This is why," I said quietly. "This is why you've hated me since the day I was born." I pressed send. The notifications erupted. 48 phones, 48 dings, one after another, a cascade of digital alerts that filled the silent room like gunfire. Mom lunged toward me. "Delete it! Make them delete it!" Her voice was ragged, desperate. Uncle Robert caught her arm. "Linda, stop!" But everyone was already looking, already reading. I watched their faces as the screenshot loaded on their screens. Confusion first, then the slow dawning of comprehension, then shock. Aunt Patricia's hand flew to her mouth. Uncle George sat down heavily. Cousin Michael dropped his phone entirely. The screenshot was a text message From Linda Moore to Victoria Moore, dated July 15th, 2023. It read, "This one isn't Richard's biological child. Don't tell anyone. If he finds out, he'll divorce me and I'll lose everything." The room went absolutely still. Then Dad spoke. "Linda?" His voice was barely a whisper. "What is this?" Mom was shaking, all the color gone from her face. "It's not. I can explain. That's not what it. Is it true?" The question hung in the air. 28 years of marriage. 28 years of loving a daughter who might not be his. Mom couldn't speak. It was Vicky, ironic, traitorous Vicky, who confirmed it. "It's real," she said quietly. Her voice was hollow. "She sent it to me 3 years ago. Made me promise never to say anything." Dad made a sound. A wounded animal sound. He turned and walked toward the door. "Richard." Mom reached for him. He didn't look back. The front door opened, closed. I heard his car engine start, heard it pull away. And standing in the wreckage of her own making, my mother finally looked at me. Not with anger, with something worse. Fear. The silence that followed was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. 47 people processed the same information simultaneously. 28 years of family history, rewritten in a single text message. I wasn't Richard Moore's biological daughter. The man who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd helped me with math homework, who'd walked me to school on my first day. He wasn't my biological father. And my mother had known all along. Suddenly, everything made sense. The differential treatment, the constant criticism, the way she looked at me, like I was a reminder of something she wanted to forget. I wasn't a disappointment, I was evidence. "You spent 28 years punishing me," I said quietly. "Not because I wasn't good enough, because every time you looked at me, you saw your own mistake." Mom's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "I was 17, she finally said. 17 and stupid. It was one time. I don't care about what happened 29 years ago." My voice was steady. "I care about what happened every day after. Every insult, every comparison to Vicky, every time you made me feel worthless." Grandma Eleanor rose from her chair. She moved slowly toward Mom. For a moment, I thought she was going to comfort her daughter. Instead, she stopped 3 feet away and looked at her with an expression I'd never seen before. Disgust. "I suspected," Eleanor said quietly. "For years I suspected something wasn't right. The way you treated that girl." She shook her head. "But I never imagined this." "Mama, please." 28 years, Eleanor continued. "You lied to everyone. To Richard, to the entire family." She paused. "To me." Mom started to cry. Real tears now. I could tell the difference. But no one moved to comfort her. The room fractured. People began moving all at once. Voices overlapped, shocked whispers, angry questions, the scrape of chairs being pushed back. "I can't believe this. 28 years of lying. Poor Richard, God, poor Richard." Aunt Patricia grabbed her purse and headed for the door without a word. Uncle George followed, shaking his head. Cousin Beth was already on her phone, probably calling someone who hadn't made it to the reunion. Those who stayed looked at Mom differently now. Not with the deference she'd cultivated for decades, with something closer to revulsion. "Everything I did for this family," Mom screamed. Her composure was completely gone. Mascara ran down her cheeks in black rivers. "I kept us together. I protected everyone from the truth." "You protected yourself," Aunt Martha corrected quietly. "That's all you ever did, Linda." Around the room, phones were buzzing. The exodus had begun in the family group chat, too. I caught glimpses over shoulders, people leaving the conversation, blocking contacts, typing furious messages. Mom lunged for my phone. "Delete it! Make everyone delete it!" Uncle Robert and Derek held her back. I stood motionless in the center of it all, watching 28 years of carefully constructed lies collapse in real time. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. Gentle, warm, Grandma Eleanor. Come with me, she said softly. She guided me through the chaos, past relatives who reached out to touch my arm, past cousins who said things like, "I'm so sorry," and "I had no idea." We stopped by the front door. Through the glass, I could see the driveway was emptying, cars pulling out one after another. "You're still my granddaughter," Eleanor said firmly. "Blood or no blood, that doesn't change." I believed her. I found Dad in the parking lot. His car was still there, engine running. He hadn't made it past the end of the driveway. Through the windshield, I could see him sitting motionless, both hands on the steering wheel, staring at nothing. I knocked on the passenger window. He didn't respond at first. Then slowly, like waking from a dream, he reached over and unlocked the door. I slid into the seat beside him. We sat in silence. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the hood. Inside the house, I could still hear muffled voices, arguments, crying. "I'm sorry," I finally said. Dad turned to look at me. His eyes were red. "Don't," he said. "Don't you dare apologize. You didn't do anything wrong." I never wanted to hurt you." He laughed, a broken, painful sound. 28 years, he said. 28 years I've loved you, changed your diapers, taught you how to drive, helped you move into your dorm. His voice cracked. DNA doesn't change that. I felt tears prick my eyes, the first ones all day. You're still my dad, and you're still my daughter. He reached over and squeezed my hand. That's the only thing I'm sure of right now. Whatever else happens, that doesn't change. We sat there for a long moment, father and daughter, bound by something stronger than biology. "I need to go," he finally said. I can't be in that house right now. I can't look at her." "I know." He pulled me into a hug, awkward over the center console, but fierce. "You were braver than me today," he said into my hair. "You were braver than I've ever been." Then he let go, put the car in gear, and drove away. I walked back into the house. The crowd had thinned dramatically. Maybe 15 people remained, most of them looking shell-shocked and unsure whether to stay or go. The framed bill still hung above the fireplace, a monument to Mom's cruelty that now seemed almost pathetic. Mom sat alone on the couch. Her hair had come loose from its careful styling. Her makeup was destroyed. She looked smaller somehow, like the revelation had physically diminished her. For the first time, I didn't see the tyrant who'd ruled my childhood. I saw a 54-year-old woman whose entire life had just collapsed. I should have felt victorious. I didn't. She looked up as I approached. Her eyes were hollow. "Are you happy now?" Her voice was hoarse. "You've destroyed everything." "No, Mom." I sat down in the chair across from her. "You did that. 28 years ago. I just stopped helping you hide it." A sob escaped her, raw and ugly. "I was 17, she said again. "I was so scared. When I realized I was pregnant, and it might not be Richard's, I panicked. I thought if I just never told anyone. You thought if you made everyone hate me first, nobody would believe me when the truth came out." She didn't deny it. "Every time you looked at me, you saw your mistake," I continued. "So you spent almost 3 decades trying to make me disappear, make me the problem, the disappointment, the one nobody would miss if I just stopped showing up." Mom covered her face with her hands. "I didn't know how else to protect myself," she whispered. "By destroying me?" She had no answer to that. Nobody ever does. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "I want you to understand something," I said quietly. "I didn't do this to destroy you. I did it because I needed the truth. 48 people needed to know I'm not the disappointment you made me out to be." Mom looked up. Mascara streaked, broken. "Dad needed to know why you treated me the way you did. And you," I paused. "You needed to know that I've had this evidence for 3 years." Her eyes widened slightly. 3 years, I repeated. 3 years of you humiliating me at every holiday, every birthday, every phone call, and I never said a word. I leaned forward. I only used it today because you forced my hand, in front of everyone, with your little bill. The irony wasn't lost on her. I could see it register. From now on, I continued, I don't need you to acknowledge me. I don't need you to love me. I stopped expecting that a long time ago. I stood up. I only need one thing from you. Leave me alone. That's my boundary. Respect it. You can't just... I can. My voice was steel wrapped in silk. And if you cross it, if you show up at my door, or contact my employer, or try to poison anyone else against me, the next conversation won't be in front of family. I held her gaze. It will be with the IRS and the police, identity theft, tax fraud, theft of my education fund. I have everything documented. Mom's face went white. I walked toward the door. Goodbye, Mom. She didn't call after me. For the first time in 28 years, my hands weren't shaking. They were perfectly still. Now, if you've made it this far, I need to know, was I right to expose everything in front of the whole family? Or should I have handled it privately? Drop a comment with public or private and tell me why. Also, can we talk about Grandma Eleanor for a second? She's been suspiciously calm this whole time, and what she did next changed everything. But first, if this story is hitting different for you tonight, subscribe. We're not done yet. Back to that night. Marcus was waiting when I got home. He didn't ask questions right away. He just pulled me into a hug that lasted 3 full minutes, then made me tea and sat beside me on the couch. I told him everything. When I finished, I finally let myself look at my phone. I'd been avoiding it on the drive home. The notifications were overwhelming. The family group chat was chaos. Message after message, people sharing their shock, their anger, their sudden clarity about years of witnessing Mom's behavior and never questioning it. And then the blocks started showing. One by one, family members were removing Linda Moore from their contacts, leaving group chats, unfollowing on social media. By midnight, I counted 47. Private messages flooded my inbox. I had no idea. I'm so sorry for never stepping in. Aunt Martha. You were so brave today. I wish I had half your courage. Cousin Beth. I always thought something was off. I should have trusted my instincts. Uncle George. The one that made me cry came from Aunt Patricia, Mom's own sister. I failed you, sweetheart. For 28 years, I watched and said nothing. That ends today. I scrolled through each message, each apology, each expression of support that came decades too late, but still mattered. Marcus pointed at my screen. What about the 48th person? Your grandma? I checked. No block from Eleanor, but there was a text. Sent at 11:47 p.m. I need to see you tomorrow. 9 a.m. My house. Come alone. I stared at those words. Something was happening. Something beyond the immediate fallout. Whatever Grandma Eleanor was planning, she'd clearly been thinking about it since the moment that screenshot appeared on everyone's phones, maybe even before. Maybe Grandma Eleanor's farmhouse looked different in the morning light. Quieter. Emptier. The remnants of yesterday's chaos had been cleaned away. The tables cleared, the chairs returned to their places, the framed bill notably absent from the mantel. The front door was open. I walked through the familiar hallway to the study at the back of the house. Grandma Eleanor sat behind her oak desk. Papers were spread in front of her, official-looking documents covered in dense paragraphs and signatures. She wasn't alone. A man in a gray suit stood beside her. I recognized him. Thomas Jameson, the family's estate attorney. I'd met him once at Grandpa's funeral. "Sit down, dear," Grandma said. I took the chair across from her. My heart was beating faster than I wanted it to. "I didn't block your mother," Eleanor said directly. "Do you want to know why?" "Yes, because blocking her would have been a kindness." Her voice was iron. "What I did instead is permanent. She slid a document across the desk toward me. At 2:17 this morning, I called Thomas, woke him from a dead sleep. By 4 a.m., we had finalized new paperwork. She tapped the document. My will has been changed. I looked at the paper. Legal language swam before my eyes. I don't understand. Your mother was originally set to receive 35% of my estate. That's been reduced to 5%. Eleanor's eyes met mine. Just enough that she can't challenge it on grounds of being completely disinherited. My breath caught. Your share has increased from 10% to 30%. She paused. Your father's portion remains the same. He's a victim in this too. Grandma, I wasn't expecting. I know. Her voice softened. That's precisely why you deserve it. Thomas Jameson cleared his throat. For clarity, Mrs. Harrison has redistributed her estate as follows. Thank you, Thomas. I'll explain. Grandma Eleanor took the document back. This isn't about punishment. This is about justice. She stood and walked to the window, looking out over the property, acres of Connecticut farmland that had been in our family for 3 generations. I started suspecting something was wrong years ago, she said quietly. The way Linda treated you, the excuses, the favoritism so blatant it made me uncomfortable. She turned back to face me. When your grandfather was alive, we tried to intervene. We set up that education trust specifically because we worried Linda would manage things poorly. Her expression darkened. We never imagined she'd steal from her own child. You couldn't have known. I should have looked harder. Eleanor's voice cracked just slightly. I should have asked more questions. When you graduated with all that debt, I offered to help, but Linda told me you refused, said you wanted to prove you could do it yourself. My jaw tightened. Another lie, another manipulation. I believed her. Eleanor shook her head. I won't make that mistake again. She reached into her desk drawer and pulled out an envelope, cream-colored, thick. My name was written on it in her careful handwriting. This is the graduation gift I tried to give you 6 years ago. Linda intercepted it, told me you didn't want it. I opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $50,000, dated 2020, and beneath it, a handwritten letter. To my granddaughter Bianca, may your future be brighter than anyone expects. You've always been special. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Love, Grandma Eleanor. The tears came before I could stop them. I was walking to my car when Vicky appeared. She must have been waiting outside, watching for me to leave. Her face was puffy from crying. No makeup, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked more human than I'd seen her in years. Bianca, wait. I stopped but didn't turn around. Please, she said. Just 2 minutes. I turned, waited. Vicky took a shaky breath. I know I don't deserve anything from you. I know that. You're right. You don't. But I need you to understand. She struggled with the words. I didn't know about the credit cards. Not at first. When I found out, I should have said something. I should have stopped it. But you didn't. No. Her voice broke. I was scared. I was so scared of becoming you. Of having Mom turn on me the way she turned on you. I felt something shift in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet. But recognition. So you helped her hurt me, I said. To protect yourself. Yes. Vicky wiped her eyes. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know. I understand now. Why you did what you did. And I'm sorry. For all of it. We stood there, 2 sisters on opposite sides of a divide that might never fully close. I can't forgive you right now, I said finally. Maybe not ever. But I understand why you did it. Fear makes people do terrible things. I paused. Look at Mom. Vicky nodded. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. I need time. I know. We didn't hug. didn't make promises, just nodded at each other and walked to our separate cars. It wasn't closure, but it was honest. That was more than we'd ever had before. A week later, the full picture emerged. Aunt Patricia called me with updates. She'd become my unofficial liaison to the family chaos I'd left behind. "Your mother found out about the will," Patricia said. "Thomas Jameson sent her the notification." "How did she take it?" A pause. "She called your grandmother screaming, threatened to sue, threatened to contest, said Eleanor was senile and being manipulated." "And what did Grandma say?" "One sentence. Then she hung up." "What was the sentence?" Patricia's voice held something like admiration. "You made your choices for 28 years. I've made mine." I let that sink in. "What about Dad?" I asked. "Moved out. He's staying with his brother in Hartford. The divorce papers have already been filed." 30 years of marriage, undone in a week. "And Mom?" "Alone," Patricia sighed. "She calls everyone, asking for support, asking people to reach out to Eleanor on her behalf. Nobody answers." I should have felt triumph. I didn't. "Do you feel guilty?" Marcus asked me that night, after I relayed the conversation. I thought about it, really considered the question. "No," I said finally. "But I don't feel victorious either. I just feel done." Marcus waited. "It's like a wound that's been infected for years," I continued. "What happened yesterday was the surgery. It hurts. It's ugly. But now it can actually heal." He pulled me close. "Is it over?" I thought about the check from Grandma Eleanor deposited in my account, the messages of support from relatives I barely knew, the silence from the woman who gave birth to me. "The explosion is over," I said. "Now comes the part where we see what's left standing." Turns out, more than I expected. 2 months after Mother's Day. Life found a new rhythm. My credit score, cleared of Mom's fraudulent cards, climbed to 748. My student loans dropped to 23,000. I'd made a significant payment with Grandma Eleanor's gift. Not to erase the debt entirely, but to prove to myself I could handle it. Marcus and I moved in together. A new apartment in Cambridge, 1 bedroom bigger than my old place, a kitchen with actual counter space. We picked it out together, no one else's opinion asked or required. Dad came to see it on moving day. He brought a houseplant and a bottle of wine. His eyes were tired, but there was something lighter in them. "How are you?" I asked while Marcus unpacked boxes in the other room. "Getting there." He set the plant on the windowsill. "The divorce will be finalized next month. I'm staying with your Uncle Bill until I figure out my next move." "And emotionally?" He managed a small smile. 28 years of lies is a lot to process. "But you know what? I don't regret a single day of being your father, not one." We hugged for a long time. Sunday dinners became our new tradition. Just us. Sometimes Marcus joined, sometimes Grandma Eleanor drove down from Connecticut. Simple, quiet, ours. Then 3 weeks after we moved, an envelope arrived. No return address, postmarked from Ohio. Inside was a single sheet of paper, a letter. "Dear Miss Moore, I received your DNA profile through 23andMe and discovered we share a biological connection. My name is Michael. I believe I may be your father. I'm not seeking anything from you. I just thought you should know I exist. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." A phone number was printed at the bottom. I stared at the letter for 3 days before showing it to Marcus. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "I don't know. I've spent 28 years with one father. Now there might be 2. Michael's letter was careful, respectful. He wasn't demanding a relationship or inserting himself into my life. He was simply making himself known. According to the brief details he'd shared, he and my mother had been co-workers nearly 30 years ago, a brief relationship. She broke it off suddenly, and he never knew why. He'd moved to Ohio, built a life, had other children. When a relative mentioned the family scandal that had spread through social media whispers and gossip, he'd taken a DNA test. The match was conclusive. He's not asking to be your father, Marcus said carefully. Richard is your dad. This guy knows that. I know. But, but what if I want to know him someday? Not now, but eventually. Marcus took my hand. You spent 28 years having other people define your identity. Your mother decided who you were supposed to be. Your family believed her. He squeezed gently. This is your choice. Nobody else's. I thought about that for a long time. Then I opened my laptop and composed a short email. Dear Michael, I received your letter. Thank you for reaching out with such respect. I'm not ready to meet or talk yet. I need time to process everything. But I wanted you to know that I appreciate you not pushing. I'll reach out when and if I'm ready. For now, thank you for letting me know you exist. I hit send. Then I closed the laptop and made dinner. Some answers can wait. I'd already found the ones that mattered most. She showed up on a Tuesday. I was leaving my office building when I saw her standing by the entrance, thinner than I remembered. Older. The designer clothes replaced by something simpler. Bianca. I stopped walking. I've been trying to reach you, she said. You blocked my number. My emails bounced back. That's intentional. I know, She took a step forward. I've been thinking, a lot, about everything. And I wanted to say, stop. She froze. You don't get to do this, I said calmly. You don't get to show up at my workplace and pretend we're having a reconciliation moment. That's not how boundaries work. I'm your mother. You're the woman who stole from me, lied about me, and psychologically abused me for 28 years because you couldn't face your own guilt. I kept my voice even. We're not having coffee and talking things through. We're not family therapy. We're nothing. You can't just cut me out forever. I'm not cutting you out forever. I'm cutting you out until you learn that my no means no. I held her gaze. That might be forever. That's your choice now, not mine. Her face crumpled. For a moment, I saw the 17-year-old girl who'd made a mistake and spent decades trying to bury it. But sympathy and boundaries aren't mutually exclusive. Goodbye, Mom. I walked past her to my car. She didn't follow. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I caught a glimpse of her in the rearview mirror, still standing there, watching me go. My hands were steady on the steering wheel. For the first time in my life, they weren't shaking. That's what freedom feels like. If you're listening to this story and seeing yourself in it, I want to tell you something. You are not what they call you. You're not the disappointment. You're not the difficult one. You're not the problem child or the black sheep or whatever label the people who should love you chose to stick on you instead of examining their own failures. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who hurt us the most. And setting boundaries with them, refusing to absorb their cruelty, isn't selfish, it's survival. My mother sent me a bill for $347,000. She calculated the cost of my diapers and my braces and my birthday parties. But she never calculated the cost of what she did to me. The years of wondering why I wasn't good enough, the nights crying alone, the opportunities stolen, the confidence crushed. There's no price tag for that. And there's nothing she can pay to get me back. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe someday I'll speak to her again. Maybe I won't. But for the first time in my life, that's my choice, not hers. Dad and I have dinner every Sunday. Grandma Eleanor calls every Wednesday. I'm slowly rebuilding connections with cousins and aunts who finally see me clearly. And Marcus? He asked me last week if I wanted to look at engagement rings. I said yes. Life goes on. Different. Better. Mine. So if you're out there, trapped in your own version of this story, know that there's another side. Know that truth has power. Know that boundaries are bridges to freedom. You are worth more than the people who failed to love you. I'm Bianca Moore, and my bill is paid in full. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If any part of it resonated with you, if you've ever felt like the disappointment in your own family, drop a comment. Tell me your story. Sometimes just saying me too is enough. And if you want more stories like this, about family drama, about justice, about finding your voice, check out the videos in the description. There's a whole playlist waiting for you. Remember, your worth is not determined by those who failed to see it. I'm Bianca Moore, and my bill is paid in full.